Hey there, and welcome back to Rishcraft. My name is Rish, and today I sculpted a Demogorgon from the hit Netflix show Stranger Things, which I'm sure you have all heard of. So starting off, with a snap of my fingers, I can create the armature for my model, just using some armature wire and some foil, and then I can go ahead and coat it in some polymer clay mixed from a bunch of random colors that resemble a purplish blue almost, which doesn't really matter because I paint it later on. But we can bulk up the body with the blue, particularly focusing on the legs, because that is our starting point for the model. Now you may be thinking, hold up Rish, Stranger Things Season 5 kind of dropped like 3 weeks ago. And you'd be completely right. This is completely, I guess, out of trend, if that makes sense. It was supposed to be uploaded a little while ago, particularly when it was releasing. However, I was on holiday getting tanned on the beach, so I didn't really edit the video in time, although I had finished the project, which is kind of a downside because it was looming over my head. I was like, oh no, I should get the video out, and then I didn't because I was playing with some sand. But here I am now, 3 weeks late, and we're making it. But at least we're early for the second volume, which is releasing in 2 weeks, probably less when this video goes up. And if we're talking about lateness, have a look at my schedule. It's not great, is it? The most inconsistent upload schedule you've ever seen, and you don't want me to go further than that. But anyway, like I've said, I'm here to stay, even if it's inconsistent. The only problem was that I was in school, high school at least, or to the Americans, I think that's, is that middle school? No, it's not middle school. The other one, secondary school, whatever you guys call it there. It's like up until like year 12. So anyway, I've graduated, so now I can focus on this a bit more and spend a lot of my energy and time onto this channel. Which reminds me, I'm currently doing a short series for the build up to Christmas, if you wanted to go check that one out. Besides that's really about it. That's why I've been gone. I was just focused on my exams and completing school and having fun. Not that this isn't fun, but if there's one thing you need to know about this YouTube channel is I love the sculpting, but I hate the editing. And yeah, that's it. But anyway, let's get back to the model. I've been building up the legs with some clay, as you would, but building up the muscle primarily with some coils and some blobs, and slowly blending them in to build up a general shape, which is sort of muscular, which is kind of weird because the Demogorgon itself is really skinny and bony, but it's very, very lean, I guess you would say. But yeah, the aim of the game is to blend it in with a ball stylus and then smooth that out with a silicone shaper. And generally that's sort of what I did for the whole creation. And that sculpting block that I'm sculpting on, courtesy of North of the Border, it's just 2 pieces of wood that I've drilled a hole into, and I've sort of just tightened a bolt, and then I can sort of loosen it to take it out and screw it back in to get the model back in with the little prongs I have at the bottom. But yeah, so I just replicate what I do on both legs, and then we can start building up the upper body. And with the upper body there is a little twist of the tail, which you will see later on, because as I was sculpting this, I think I was about 1 day from the release and I wanted to get it out, so I had to make some adjustments, or shortcuts if you will, to ensure that I would finish the sculpture on time, although as I said before, the editing did not follow the same course of action. So building up the abdomen, the lower chest, almost waist of the Demogorgon, just sort of giving it these weird grooves, because like I said, it's really skinny. Obviously it's not human. But wait, I think I heard something. What the? What is going on? Oh hell no, what the Well, that was strange to say the least, but I have seen stranger things. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways, back with the project, I can build up the upper body. Like I said before, just sort of getting general shape. It's like a Dorito almost, before carving out all these weird sections in the middle of his chest. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you suck in your stomach really tight and you can sort of like see that weird divot, but I don't think he's sucking in his stomach. So he's just really skin tight, but he's also really strong, and I'm sure you would agree if you've seen the show. But yeah, just building up the demo, as they say now, and just going with the ball stylus, like I said, and then we can go with the silicone shaper again, just like I said. And it really simplifies the sculpting process, but to me, I find it hard to sort of describe exactly what is going on. Yeah, like I've put a divot in with a ball stylus, and now I'm just making sure the divot doesn't look too sharp with the silicone shaper, just blending those corners so it's smoother. And then again, doing the same, building up some muscle. A lot of it is just knowing where to place the random blobs of clay that you blend in. But yeah, like it's weird, because I'll look back, and I'm sure you can look back on some of my older videos and you can see the progress I've made. But I don't really think of it as much anymore, but back then I would kill to have skill like this. Building up the collarbone area, again, really skin tight, so a lot of it's sort of bony, and then we can build up one arm, particularly the shoulder first, with again some blobs of clay to represent the muscle, which, although I said it's bony, skinny and skin tight, he is very lean, like I've also said before. So building up all the muscle on the arm, going with the bicep first, and then we can start building up on the triceps too, as well as the back, which again, I am by no means a biologist, and I'm sure no one really is when it comes to these Stranger Things creatures. However, I just sort of stick blobs where I think they would look good, to build up some muscle, and it's almost like you gotta believe me that it's supposed to look like that, because it does turn out well, and as you can see from the front, it does look good. And here is my cheap move, where we are making that one Demogorgon that fights Hopper, as you can see. Like I said, corner cutting. If I needed to get the video out later, which probably could have happened, and is happening, then I would have built the arm, or maybe not, because I'm also kind of lazy. But anyway, that brings me to my next point. Well, it doesn't really, but next point anyway. What should I sculpt next? Because I was thinking about making Vecna, which I have done before, but considering he had a redesign, which looks kind of dope, I would make it, except for all the little vines, and like I said, I'm too lazy, so I don't know if I'd do that. Here you can see my moving desk. No, I am not lifting up the painting from, or poster from The Legend of Zelda. The desk was just lowering because I was standing and I got too tired, again matching the laziness. And then we can jam an wound up piece of armature down his neck and snip it, so then we can start building up the head, which is kind of just like a flower, which I guess it's been known for. But yeah, we can build up the neck, again just placing balls of clay where I think they would look good. Not really having a clue. I'm looking at a reference photo, while that may be. The backside was completely a guess, or not a guess, artistic license, whatever, using my art skills, which I don't really have much of. But anyway, all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. So we can just make that spine, because it can, like I said, really thin, really skinny, and so we can just blend in those vertebrae. Are they vertebrae? Invertebrae? What? I don't know. The spine column. Anyway, we can build up the forearms, and then we can get working on the hands, which due to my great photography skills, you don't really see much of, and as well as me covering almost everything I'm doing. This was also the first video I forgot to mention where I am using a camera and not my phone. So hopefully the quality is better, as well as the shooting angles. However, the reveal shots, as per usual, are shot on my phone because I don't have a lens that can get as close as I do with the phone that I can put on the camera. But yeah, considering everything, I think this is the first creation I've made this year that's going on the channel, which isn't a whole lot because there's only been 2 videos including this one, and the other one was made back in 2024, and I only uploaded it 2 months ago. But yeah, we can sort of make the knuckles of that hand, and I somehow managed to keep it in place. I think I used my heat gun slightly, and then we can lather the Demogorgon in isopropyl alcohol to smooth out all the clay edges, as well as remove any fingerprints and markings I may have left with my sculpting tools. But we can sort of bloody this up, make it look fleshy where the arm has been cut off, and then we can also jam in 10 toes, which I now realize after watching the show, the feet are completely wrong, and you probably didn't even realize until I pointed it out. So I realistically shouldn't have done that, but they are completely and utterly wrong. And I can go ahead with some Bake-and-Bond and cover the entire Demogorgon with it to give it this veiny look, which won't really matter, but it just adds to that texture, because I'm not going to take a brush and make it look furry like I do on other creations, which you can go ahead and look at if you want to. And then we can just sort of build up the head. It's just a ball of clay on top of the neck, and again, because of my laziness, I didn't make it with the mouth open, which was also kind of cool. I don't really mind the fact that the mouth is closed, but it's sort of like a flower, just getting 5 petals and sticking it on. Each one is like a mandible, if you compare it to an ant almost. It's definitely not human-like, except for the rest of it, otherwise it's like Slender Man itself. But yeah, anyway, before I was saying that we need to figure out what I'm going to make next. So I might put out a poll, or I might not, I don't really know. But I was wondering whether it should be Vecna in time for like the season finale or something, because it would take me a little while to make that and edit it. Or should I make something else, whether it be a Pokemon or The Legend of Zelda. I was thinking about doing The Legend of Zelda monsters but realistic, which I thought would be kind of cool. I've also thought about something from Adventure Time, like the Lich, which is really cool. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas. With the mouth, as you saw, I was jamming in one of my sculpting tools to mark for the teeth, because again, my laziness was the thinking that I don't have enough time to individually sculpt about 100 teeth. But yeah, we can prime it white, and I think the sculpting is done, so we can get on to painting. And the Demogorgon, after being primed white, gets a nice coat of a grey, which almost turns blue later, which worked out really well because it is a touch blue. And then covering it in red ink for the blood, because this Demogorgon went on an absolute rampage in the Russian prison. So covering the hand and the whole body, because the blood splatters obviously, as well as the mouth, which is already red, and the gory bit of the arm where Hopper slices off his arm, splattering on the blood with some more red ink to give it the effect of slashing at sort of blood vessels that sort of popped and came up. So anyway, we're going to cut out the base with, I don't know, a box cutter, yeah. And then we can jam some rocks in it. We're going for this rocky terrain, but I carved out this weird elliptical shape in the middle, because that is going to be like a gate to the upside down. We can cover it with this stone grey, and then we can cover that grey with a black wash to bring back some of those dark colours and the highlights. And then we can start focusing on that little divot in the middle, which is going to get painted a neon orange, because this is the gate to the upside down, which in the new season they sort of open really easily and they sort of just come out of the ground. But yeah, that looks good and all, but it's not really upside down enough for my liking, so we're going to go with some hot glue to give it that stretchy viney look. But yeah, we can sort of dry brush the base with some white to give it that extra stony look, and then we're going with the hot glue gun to give it those stretchy vines, not quite sure. And then we can also cover it with some more ink while we're doing this, otherwise it is incredibly hard to paint dried hot glue. So we can go ahead and make multiple layers, and I think it turned out quite nice. And then we can, as you can see, struggle with the orange to bring back some of that. And then we can make the rest of the gate, which is this dark sort of purple, brown, I guess viney, again viney, kind of looks like an eye. But yeah, we go with the brown first and then we cover it in purple, and I'm going with the heat gun to sort of dry the paint quickly before it sort of washes off the glue as it dries. But yeah, then we can go ahead and touch up all the blue spots that I've left that have come off with dried hot glue. And with that, our base is done, and I didn't have footage of me painting it. But yeah, that is the video practically over. All that's left for us to do is jam our Demogorgon into our upside down gate, which is our base. And with that, we are on to the reveal shots. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Share this video with your friends, family, enemies and anyone else in between. And I'll be sure to upload another video hopefully sometime soon, and if not, follow the short series. And with that, I'll be seeing you next time.